In the event of a metal material jam, we may need to replace the lower feed tube. To complete this replacement, we will need a torque driver with a 7mm bit, a 2mm hex driver, and tweezers or thin pliers. Before removing the lower feed tube, we must confirm that the entire material pathway is clear for print material. Failure to do so can lead to pieces of filament getting lodged in the print head mechanism. Therefore, we must power down the printer with the purge rod still inserted in the material pathway. Then, it will be safe to remove the lower feed tube. To start, we will first unload the metal material. While the metal nozzle is still hot, we will use the torque wrench to carefully remove the nozzle from the print head. Set aside that old nozzle, taking care not to touch it with your bare hands. Next, we remove the print head cover by sliding it up and away from the print head, off of its locating features. Now, while pressing down on the front release arm, we will use a thin metal purge rod to carefully push all the way through the inlet tube, idler wheel assembly, outlet tube, and out throughout the opening on the underside of the print head. Do not remove the purge rod at this time. With the purge rod still inserted and passing through the material pathway, turn the printer off and then remove the purge rod. Now that we have the purge rod removed, we can use the 2mm hex driver to loosen but not remove the fitting clamp screw. Once loose, flip the fitting clamp to clear the brass connector for removal. Once the clamp has been cleared, we can remove the brass connector from the tube using the tweezers or thin pliers. After the brass connector has been removed, push down on the black push to connect fitting to release the lower feed tube. While pressing the push to connect fitting, use the tweezers or small pliers to pull the tube upwards for removal. Now, to properly install a new tube, we will start by inserting the new tube into the fitting until it can no longer be pushed down. Next, we will want to insert the brass connector on top of the tube. Once the brass connector has been secured, we can flip the fitting clamp and tighten the screw. Note, you may need to loosen the screw slightly before being able to flip the clamp. Once the clamp and screw have been secured, we can reinstall the print head cover and then apply a thin layer of anti-seize to the removed metal nozzle's threads. Once the nozzle has been prepped with anti-seize, we can screw in the metal nozzle in approximately finger tight using the nozzle wrench. Then, we will unscrew it completely to distribute the anti-seize across all threads. Finally, we will tighten the nozzle until the wrench clicks. We can now power on the printer and reload our material.